Social media has been flooded with fake videos and false information since the start of the Israel-Hamas war. These platforms have been a crucial tool, but they've got real-world consequences during a war.
A lot of the content that we're seeing right now includes terrorist propaganda, includes extraordinarily graphic, violent content, mis and disinformation, and hate speech.
The average social media user is having an increasingly difficult time ascertaining what's real or fake. There are verified badges that could be now purchased on multiple social media platforms that give a veneer of authenticity. It doesn't just erode public trust. This issue can actually have a real-world impact on public safety.
With me tonight, NBC News tech correspondent, my friend Jake Ward, and Ahia Schatz, CEO at Fake Reporter, which focuses on fighting disinformation, hate speech, and other malicious online activities in Israel. Ahia, walk us through the kind of disinformation you have been seeing online in the last 9 days, because it's crucially important for our audience to understand this.
Yeah, so we need to understand that when the war started, there was a void of information created from the confusion, the fast attack, and people found themselves in fear and looking for answers. Into this void came all kind of interest groups trying to shape narrative to the public, both from within the country and from without the country. We've seen right away videos circulating that are not related to the area, trying to promote narratives. We've seen Iranian campaigns to glorify the war and their own acts as, for example, saying that a huge cyber attack was the cause, or by them was the cause of the success of this horrible attack. And we've seen also internal group of interests trying to push narratives that will have their leaders, for example, that it wasn't a failure of the leadership or the army, it was treason from within, starting to claim all kinds of things like it was the left or the protesters against Netanyahu. And last, we've seen conspirators of COVID coming and saying it's a new world order, and really taking the moment to shape their kind of perception and lies upon the public opinion.
Jake, same question to you. Talk to us about the disinformation that's out there and how dangerous it is, especially now, because there is this void or vacuum of information from governments, right? Think about all the people who have been desperate to get information from the government in Israel, and they have become reliant on whatever they can get from social media. They have no other choice.
Yeah, Steph, I think we've really been in this terrible bargain over the course of the last few days, ever since October 7th, in which we simultaneously want social media to give it to us straight, right? Give me the unfiltered, raw feed from the very front lines of what is happening so that I can see for myself. But of course, that hunger, as Ahia points out, creates this extraordinary opportunity for bad actors to come in and manipulate reality. And then simultaneously, you have, this absolute impossibility on the part of the major platforms to truly get a handle on not only what is real and what is not, but trying to sort out post by post. Does this piece of violent content serve some sort of public or news gathering purpose, or should it be taken down? All of which is to say, the moment that I was most kind of tied up and didn't quite know what to do with it was right in the middle of last week. You had Jewish schools and Jewish community centers across the world telling us, NBC, that they had been instructed, or at least it had been suggested by the Israeli government, that they go to the students of their schools and have them delete Instagram and TikTok off of their phones. Now, the Israeli government told us that that was not, in fact, something that they had done, but multiple schools said they had. That part was unclear enough. Then you're in this moment, right, where, of course, parents and teachers would want to shield children from violent content. But at the same time, the idea of taking social media away from children at a time when teenagers and young people were trying to figure out what was really happening, it's just an impossible situation. We've gotten into this world with social media where it is so hard to tell the difference between what is real and what is fake. And as far as the experts I've been speaking to, Hamas is one of the is not terribly sophisticated about this stuff. It is other actors like Hezbollah that are going to be even more sophisticated if they choose to begin really moving across the social media space. So it's just this incredible devil's bargain that I think we are all grappling with right at this moment here, Steph.
I'm going to ask you the worst question, Jake, because it only makes it harder for you to cover this and to deal with these social media companies every day, which you have to. What have they been like to deal with over the last week? I'm guessing that you're calling them and their PR desks every single day over the last week. Are they being helpful? Are they being open? Are they being more difficult than usual? Because what we need from those companies right now, once and for all, is open, honest transparency. What have they been like over the last week?
I will say that it is never a terribly open communications channel. This is, it's an antagonistic relationship by its nature. As it should be, right? That is how it's supposed to work. And for me, there have been official statements from the major platforms saying, that they are taking extra steps and they are trying to get Arab and Hebrew speaking operatives into position to deal with misinformation and the rest of it. They issue official statements to us wherever they can, but we do not have a good sense of what's going on inside. We do not have a good sense of how they're responding to the EU's increased pressure on them. We do not have a good sense of that across the major media platforms. And that is, I think, one of the many, many difficulties we have right now in piecing together what is the appropriate response and how do we deal with the information ecosystem we're in right now, Steph.
Jake Ward, Ahia Schatz, thank you both so much. I'm sorry. The reason I'm the most fired up is because it is those very platforms that don't take down the hate, that say it's all about putting all the information out there, put sunlight on it and let people see what's out there. But then when you go to deal with those companies and speak to their executives on the record or ask them how they operate or how their systems work, bupkis, you get nothing. When was the last time a major CEO from any one of the major social media platforms sat down and did an on-the-record interview? I can't remember, but I'd sure like to sit down with any of them.